which is amazing. The Terry Lajoie. All right, kids, have a great day.
Thank you,
Thanks, Jimmy.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. So, um, I've been in the business a long time, and I've been with KW for a long time, and I absolutely love this class, and I love being one of the instructors, and I'm honored to be one of the instructors here with you guys today. So we also have Sue Doyle, and Sue, feel free jump in anytime as always, because you always have great input, so I appreciate you being here. So if I can get the other folks in here, because I don't know most of you, I'm going to ask you to unmute if you can. If your area is not super loud, please unmute, because this class is way better when we are participating as opposed to just me talking at you. So I would much rather have you guys off mute, jump in anytime. And so if we can just get you guys to introduce yourself, that would be great. So who wants to start? And don't be shy. Jeff, you're looking at me, so you're muted.
All right, there we go. Is that working?
That's working.
Sorry, I was trying to. What do you want us to go through again? I'm sorry. I was trying to
Just
unmute
tell me
myself.
who you are and like how long you've been in the business or whatever you
Yeah.
want to say.
So I'm Jeff Gray. I'm based out of the Dover area, but I work under Luana here, out of the Portsmouth office. I've been in real estate for about probably 2 months all in. I think my first day, I've said this in a couple classes, my first day was actually the first day of Bold, was my first day as a licensed real estate agent. So
Congratulations. We were in
yeah,
both together.
thanks. Yeah. So, um, just kind of got into it. I bought and sold a few houses on my own and kind of wanted to get into it to help some friends, and here we are. So
Awesome. Well, welcome. So go ahead, keep your mute off if you would, so that you can continue to participate. Patrick, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm like kind of multitasking and doing other things as I listen in.
Okay. So how long you been in the business? I'm just going to tag you for a minute and then I'll let you be silent again.
Yeah, so I've been licensed for about a year. I live in Dover. I was interested in investing in real estate, started buying, and from going to the Dover investor meetup, it's actually tonight, by the way, Nate had talked me into getting my license. So I've been licensed for about a year. I've sold 4 houses. Yeah, and helped one buyer so far.
Fantastic. Well, Patrick, we should connect because I do a lot on the investor side. And if you run into distressed properties, I have cash buyers for you, multiples. So let's keep in touch. Candace.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. So let's see. I think this is my third Ignite, or my first. What do we have? 3 already? I don't remember, but I wasn't able to come in over the summer. I just got licensed. I think Jeff and I were at orientation together in July. Same amount of time, like 2-3 months. I've been working full time this summer, so I haven't been available as much as I'd like to have been, but I stopped that on Labor Day, so I'm off. I'm taking all the weekdays off now. I'm moving to nights and weekends, so I'm here and I'm trying to get my business up and running. I've got a Maine license right now. I'm looking to get a New Hampshire license by the end of this year. I'm coming to the commercial class on Wednesday, so I'm just here to learn as much as I can from all of you awesome people that are offering up all your awesome knowledge.
Fantastic. Well, welcome. And
Thank you.
so we're going to get started. And like I said, feel free to stay off mute so that you guys can participate, because everybody learns more when we all participate. And Sue Doyle, are you there? Or are you doing something else while you're listening in?
Nope, I am here. Good morning, everybody.
Awesome.
Good morning,
So,
Terry.
you want to tell everybody who you are, because you're the amazing Sue Doyle, and
Stop. It's
and
all a
actually,
fallacy.
no, it's not. I can speak from personal experience. It's not.
Wow, you're the bestest. Coming up on year 15. Never at another office, because why? Why would you? We've got the best office on the face of the earth. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I do residential, I don't do commercial. I enjoy every day, and there are those moments that you want to beat your head against the wall, but 5 minutes later something awesome happens and you're like, oh, okay, all's good. So take that in stride. If you're on the newer side, it happens to all of us. And just appreciative of opportunities like this to learn from other agents, because you should never stop coming to these. 15 years in, and newer agents ask me all the time, why do you still go to contracts? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? It's like, I don't know everything, and neither does the attorneys that run our industry don't know everything. I certainly don't know everything. You got to stay with it, put it in your calendars forever, and you'll be good.
Because we keep learning. That's what we do.
Every day, every class, there's at least one thing you're going to take out going, oh, wow, great idea. I should do that.
Mhm.
So don't stop just because you've closed on one house or whatever. You know, a lot of people do, and it doesn't serve them well in the long run.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, we're going to get started. Today, we're talking about connecting with your market, what that looks like. So, I'm trusting you guys all have your workbook. If you don't, there's the QR code. If you need it to stay up longer, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep on rolling. So today's agenda: know your market, build your expertise, utilize resources, recap and ahas, and your daily success habits. And yes, I do go through all of them. So here's the truth. If it has been done in another market center, it can be done in your market. Once it has been done, no matter where, it's just a matter of finding out how that can be done, how that can be possible in your world. So very, very true. All markets are different, so you may have to tweak something, but if you see something being done someplace else and it's being successful, just start asking how. How can I? What makes it work here? Because you can definitely do it here too. Know your market. Knowing and connecting with your market is all about research and preparation. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. When I first saw this slide and I saw the research and preparation, I'm like, what? Like, what kind of research are they talking about? The reality is, once I kind of worked through and did my own research, I was already doing the research, and it's really just about keeping in touch and keeping your finger on the pulse of our market, more so than actual research. And there are some tools that KW provides that are super easy to use, and it's going to pretty much put it all on your doorstep. So knowing your market should be relatively easy for you. So we're going to kind of work through that today. So 3 types of real estate markets: buyer's market, more than 7 months of inventory. And I think it was in bold that they said that 88% of agents currently practicing have never seen a buyer's market before. So as that changes, be ready, because those of you who understand how it works are going to stand to make a lot of money in the next 2 markets. Balanced market is 5 to 7 months of inventory. So that's more of a neutral market where neither buyer or seller has the upper hand. And seller's market is less than 5 months of inventory. That's where we've been for several years now. And 88% of realtors out there have only seen a seller's market. So if you start keeping your finger on the pulse and start really paying attention as our market is shifting, which it is shifting, as it continues to shift, you guys are going to pull out in front of other people. And I truly mean that. I was around for the last recession, and as a brand new agent, I was kicking butt because I didn't know any different. And agents were saying, you can't do that. That doesn't exist. That's wrong. And I kept doing it, and I kept outperforming them. So if you know your market, you can outperform the senior veterans who aren't paying attention. All right. So listen to what's going on in this class today, because it's a really important class. It's my first time teaching it, but as I went through it, it's a really important class. So you guys can gain a ton of value that will make you a ton of money going forward. Inventory. Inventory is a number of properties that are for sale within a market. So this is some of your homework. Okay. So what is the inventory in your market? What are the average days on market? So how long is the house staying in the market before it goes under contract? what is the average price of a home in your market? What is it selling for? Okay, so what is it selling for might be different from what is it listed for. Okay, and as we switch from seller's market to neutral market to buyer's market, those numbers definitely change. Based on inventory, what type of real estate market are you in? So what kind of market are we in? Anybody want to take a stab at that?
Sellers?
Seller's market. Is anything changing?
I would say, yeah, it's probably shifting back a little bit.
It's shifting back a little bit. Yeah, so we're in a little bit of a transition. So one of the cool things is that in real estate, even if you miss the first signs, real estate doesn't do much of anything fast. All right. Everything takes time, which means if you miss the first indication, you can get the second, third, fourth, fifth, 100th, and you'll still be ahead of 90% of the agents out there. Okay. Candace, you unmuted. Did you have something to add?
I wanted to ask about interest rate cuts.
Yep.
Did that just happen, or is it happening again? I thought I read something about that.
So we had one. They're talking about more. I'm not going to talk too much about that. I'm going to say we have the amazing Brad Kelly right in our office, and he's the better person to talk about rates.
Okay.
Because he's the one who's going to be dealing with those. They're shifting just like everything else. I have a unique opinion on those, which I'll keep to myself for the time being. But Brad is anything to do with rates. I'm going to say talk to Brad. He's going to be your best resource on that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Interest rates and lender regulation. Make contacts with lenders in your area so you can stay up to date on your market and answer questions your clients have about the process. Again, I've got several deals going with Brad right now. He is awesome. I always personally like to have a couple of lenders that I'm working with. I've had situations in the past where I worked with one lender and then he decided he was getting out of the business, and it left me kind of without a lender for a period of time while I tried out different lenders, finding a good lender that I was comfortable with again. So I tend to have 2 or 3 that I work with on a regular basis. It also gives me 2 or 3 people that can come and do open houses with me. It gives me 2 or 3 different viewpoints. So there's a lot of reasons why I keep a couple. I don't like to work with more than that. So I think more than that, you spread yourself too thin. The lenders depend on us to give them business, and they do a lot for us. So, you know, find a couple of good ones. Highly recommend Brad. He is amazing, and he's our in-house guy. He does a fantastic job for us. So can't say enough good things about Brad. So, I'm going to back up here for 1 second to inventory. Do you guys know where to get all of this information? Because all of this information on here, what is the inventory of your market? What are the average days on market? What is the average price of a house that house is selling for? You know, all of that can be found in one location in one slide. Do you guys know where that is?
Is it in the list reports?
Well, you can get it in list reports. The easiest place to get it is right in MLS. So if you go into MLS and you just go into the search, put in the state, and I'm gonna pop out of here for 1 quick second. So the only thing I put into my criteria was status is active, state, New Hampshire, and then I hit the search button. When you do that, it's going to give you all of the listings, but it's also going to give you a listing count. So today there's 3,682 active listings in the state of New Hampshire. In January of 2023, there was 873. What's happened since January of 2023?
Interest rates have gone up.
Interest rates have gone up. But in the information I just gave you, what has happened?
Less active.
more actives.
I thought you said 5. Sorry, never mind. I misheard you then.
That's okay. So in January of 2023, we had 873 active
Gotcha.
homes in MLS. Now we have 3,682. So inventory went up, right? As inventory is going up, we're still nowhere near a neutral market, right? We still don't have anywhere near 5 months of inventory. So that just tells you we're shifting, right? And Gary's been doing a lot of talking about shifting and how our market is shifting. And so we're moving very slowly, but we're moving from a deep, deep seller's market, the deepest seller's market this country's ever seen, back in the direction, we're not there yet, but in the direction of a balanced neutral market. Okay. That's still going to take time. Okay. Now, on the same thing right at the top of this page is days on market. The highest number of days on market is 957. I actually think I know that property. It's a multifamily in Manchester. The low is 0 because there's always new properties coming on, right? So something came on this morning that gave us a 0. The average days on market is 73 and the median is 46. Now I can tell you that the median days on market in Nashua, where I live, is 22. Okay. So, but for the whole state, it's 46. So that number is climbing. We've finally made it past the 30-day mark. Okay. But we're still nowhere near 5 months. Okay. And then you've got the list prices. So the high list price right now is 20 million. The low is 500. The average 773,049, median 570,000. Okay. So all of this is in one quick search right at your fingertips. So when they're talking about research, and I want you guys to panic and be like, oh my God, I got to go dig and I got to find all this stuff. Literally the MLS is going to put it right in your hands with that one search. Then if you want to dig deeper, you can search by county, you can search by town. And so you can get really granular. You can also use the market reports through command to send to yourself for your markets to tell you, give you specific data on your market. So I track Nashua very closely because it's where I live and where I do a lot of work. And so I get a market report every week. And then because it's a dynamic report, I screenshot it and I have a report and I have that tracked all the way back to January. So every week I just take a screenshot and I drop it in that one slide that I have. And now I can see exactly what's happening in the market and I can follow it. And that allows me to see the micro changes that are happening. Okay. Does that help you guys?
Yeah.
Cool. I just want to make it easy for you because sometimes we think it's going to be hard to go and do all this research. And the reality is you don't have to do a lot of research. The other thing is you get a lot of reports that come in, right? Through realtor.com, through KW, through NHAR, NAR, like there's all kinds of reports that come in. You don't have to read everything in detail, but skim through, see what's going on there. It's our job to make sure we know what's going on in the market because our clients, they don't do this every day, right? And so they depend on us to tell them what's going on. Okay. This is the biggest investment of their life for most of them, unless they're investors and they do this every single day, in which case they're going to know the market pretty well. But even then, they don't see the micro shifts. And that's our job to tell them. Okay. So interest rates, again, talk to your lenders, make sure that we're getting the information direct from them. Economic factors plays an important role in the agent's understanding of the market. So unemployment rates, how many workers are entering or exiting the workforce. You're going to kind of have an idea of that. It's all over social media. It's on the news. It's, that information is readily available. Just listen, hear it when it comes through. Okay. What is the growth rate of your community? How fast are things growing? Like, here we're right on the border of Massachusetts. We've had tremendous growth over the last few years. And I think Portsmouth has as well, because you guys are seacoast. So you guys have probably had a ton of growth over there as well. Has government made changes to the rules and regulations that affect your housing market? There's a big one lately, right? With the ADUs.
Yep.
So like, it's up to us to be able to have those conversations. I just met with a past client who's thinking about investing, and they have like 2 acres behind their house with an access road. And one of the conversations was, you know, they asked about potentially putting in an ADU back there. Well, they don't have to buy the land because they own it, right? They don't have to, there's so many pieces they don't have to do to be an investor, and it's not going to cost them anywhere near what it would to go out and buy a multifamily and renovate it and get it rented and all of that. So that's a good direction for them to go. And it's a way for them to start and kind of get their feet wet, as opposed to buying a big property right off the get-go. So it's up to us to know what those changes are. If you can, go to your local planning board meetings. Great place to get a lot of information on what's going on right in your town. Okay. Questions? No? Okay. I'm going to keep moving. So if you guys have questions, stop, because these classes are way more fun when you guys talk.
Planning board is also, I'm not saying it's every time and you don't want to like smother people with it, but when you're there to get a scoop on what's happening in a town that you're focused on, there have been times of, you know, a lot of people think they can go before the boards on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And you're certainly not playing lawyer. There's a very strict line that you can't cross, and you'll learn that over time. But there are people that think they can approach the board and get whatever they want without an agent or an attorney on board. And that opens up a lot of discussion sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But talk to the brokers about what these people might be asking you to do in case it does skirt that line of playing lawyer, because that's not good either.
No, definitely not. And that's a good point, Sue. And it happens not just with the planning board, right? It happens in regular deals.
Yep.
And so we need to be aware of that, and we need to always stay on the right side of that we are not attorneys. Even though we have a lot of information about the laws and what pertains to our field and what we do, we still need to stay in what we do and not cross that line. So, other important market factors to investigate: neighborhood numbers. So nearby shops and restaurants, health facilities, neighborhood attractions. Health facilities, that if you're working with investors, that comes up a lot, believe it or not, because they like doing short-term rentals to traveling nurses. So you've got health facilities for that reason. You've also got health facilities if you have people who are seniors. They want to be close to a facility, and you know, if they have health challenges, or even somebody who's not a senior but has health challenges, they want to be close to healthcare facilities. I have a client right now. He wants to be within a 5-minute drive, no more than 5 minutes, from shopping and restaurants for his new house. And if it's not, he's not interested. He literally looks at the map and says, nope, too far to drive. Because he's just at that point in his life, he doesn't want to travel. He's sick of driving around. You know, what are the neighborhood attractions? What's in that area, you know, that people are going to like, or maybe that they're not going to like, right? So if you've got someone coming in who their kids are all grown up, do they necessarily want to buy in a neighborhood that has a bunch of kids? Probably not. Do we tell them that? No, right? Because we can't discriminate. We can't steer them in one direction or another, but we can have them drive through neighborhoods, right? And let them see whether the neighborhood is right for them. Now, with the market being as hot as it is, did people necessarily have time to do drive-bys? Not always. But if you're going to the open house, take 30 seconds and drive through the neighborhood, right? Let them make those decisions whether that neighborhood is good for them. If there are things that they're looking for, whether it's grocery stores or, other things like that, you can certainly tell them, where those things are located. But just, again, be careful with the neighborhoods and what you're saying about them, because you don't want to cross the equal opportunity lines. Be the real estate expert of choice. How do you become that? Any ideas? How do you become the agent of the expert that people want to work with?
I'd say probably it's somebody that was getting a lot of referrals and that has a very prominent presence. If people are, I've been reading about like having a Google business account and being able to be, popping up in people's searches
Mm-hmm.
if they're looking for agents in the area, to make sure you have that presence so people can find you.
Yep.
And if if you're somebody like you or like Sue who was in the area, been doing things for a long time, probably just have that, extra expertise, and
Yeah,
it's known, and that's, yeah, and it takes a lot of diligence.
it does. And I'm going to say, if you were in the last bolt, there was a shortcut that they highlighted. Jeff, I know you were in that bold with me. Do you remember what the shortcut was
For which one?
for becoming the real estate expert of choice?
I should.
What did what did what did Hudson make us do on a couple of occasions that nobody wanted to do?
Video?
Yeah, because he was talking about a new agent that's now been in the business about 4 years, but he came in and started doing videos, YouTube videos, like hour-long videos with him just talking about real estate, right? And over about 4 months, he had worked his way up to getting about 30 leads a month from his YouTube videos and closing 1 or 2 deals. And then over time, that 30 deals or that 30 leads went to 100 leads and 10 deals a month. And now 4 years later, he's at about 500 to 1,000 leads a month and closing about 50 deals a month. So that's a shortcut, right? So he took something that was not being done by all agents and still is not being done by all agents, and he turned it into his thing. My thing is networking. I'm a huge networker. That's what I do. Find your thing, but we can't be a secret agent. And Gary says that all the time, right? We can't be a secret agent. And I was a secret agent for a long time. I had a great referral business, but the only people that knew me were my past clients. And the only people that met me were the people that knew my past clients that got referred to me. Well, that's one way to build, but there are shortcuts. And the video was a definite shortcut for that young man. A lot of people can learn from it. So find your shortcut, but make sure people know, whether it's a blog, it's Facebook, it's video, it's whatever. Make sure people know who you are and what you do. Okay? And be able to give them information. And I'm going to say deeper information than what 90% of the agents are giving them. Okay? Because that's what's going to make you different. That's what makes you the expert, is having a deeper level of knowledge than everybody else out there. And we have a ton of resources for you to get that. 4 steps to building expertise. Learn your market, know it well. Be able to talk about your market and what's going on in your market. People are going to ask you. And the fastest way to get someone to ask you what you do for work is to ask them what they do for work. So if you're at a cocktail party, you're out to dinner with friends and there's a new person there, or you go to a networking event, or you just meet somebody at the grocery store, what do? They're going to tell you what they do, and then what are they going to ask? What do you do? You're going to tell them you're in real estate. Very first question, how's the market? Almost every time. So if you know that's going to be their first question, do you need to be able to answer it?
Yep.
Yep. And answer it in a way that's conversational, right? Because we can spout off a whole bunch of statistics and people's eyes glaze over. Okay. So know what's going on in the market, but be able to articulate that in a conversational way. Okay. Because then you're going to actually have a conversation. They're going to engage with you. And now you're building rapport and you're building a relationship. You have the foundation of a relationship there. Learn your clientele. Who is a good client for you? If you haven't answered that question, you might want to think about it. Okay. Because I know when I was first starting out, everybody was a good client for me. Anybody and everybody. Okay. I needed a deal. I would do anything. And so a lot of people are like that, a lot of agents, and that's okay. And I did okay. In my first year, I did 19 deals from July to December. That's a pretty good opening. But over the years, I've learned that you kind of learn who your client is either by design or by elimination. I don't like working with jerks. So if I work with a jerk, as soon as the deal's done, they get evicted from my database. Okay, just eject them. You don't have to work with jerks. So who do you want to work with? Do you want to work with investors? Do you want to work with first-time buyers? Do you want to work with sellers? Do you want to work on expireds for sale by owners? Do you like, who do you, there's so many who's out there that you guys get to choose who you want to work with. So really kind of think about that. Like who is it that you enjoy working with? Prior to being in real estate, I was a software engineer. And I took a class one time and the instructor gave me, we were looking at taglines and I didn't have a tagline. And he asked me what I used to do and I told him and he just popped out, engineering your investment. That's been my tagline for almost 20 years now. So I'm an engineer by heart, by trade. So that means I come at things from an analytical approach. I used to have agents that would refer engineers to me because they're like, this guy just wants data. I don't know. I don't have it. And you want data? I can bring you a mountain of data. Right? Now, what I've learned over the years is not everybody wants a mountain of data. Right? So if I bring in somebody who's all about people and building the relationship, and I have a listing coming on next week. You know why I got that listing? The woman has 8 cats. I have 3 cats, and I was able to help her with a food diet change for her cats that instantly turned 2 of her cats around. And she's like, I'm her agent now. So would it have benefited me to walk in that door with a whole bunch of data for somebody that wanted to connect on a cat level? No. Now, did I have my data? Sure. But this particular person, they don't want data. They want me. I like cats. They like cats. Connect. Good. Done. Do I still have to do a good job? Do I still have to educate them? Yes. But figure out who your ideal client is. Figure out who's a good fit for you and who isn't. Who isn't is just as important. Okay. And then listen to the individuals. So the best thing I heard, and I heard it really early in my career, was we all have 2 ears and 1 mouth and we should use them in proportion.
Yep.
Right? We need to listen. And I always have a notebook with me. Sometimes I'll make a note, but it's not about necessarily what they're saying. It's more about something I don't want to forget to say. and I'll circle back to it. But if they're talking, we need to listen. And we need to ask open-ended questions to get them talking. Okay, so that we can figure out what's important to them. Asking questions 3 levels deep. When you get to the emotion, you know why they want to sell or why they want to buy or why they're looking for what they're looking for. That's when you start getting 2, 3, 4 levels deep into questions on a topic. That's where you're going to learn what's important to them. They can say up front, I want a 2-family and I need 2 bedrooms on one unit and 1 bedroom in the other one. And okay, well, why is that important to you? Well, my parents are going to move in with me. Okay, what's going on with your parents? Why are we combining households? Now you find out that, there's some issues going on with the parents' health or something like that. Now you're getting to the why, their why. Okay, so if we don't ask questions and we're just interested in talking and talking at them, we're not going to be the right agent for them. Okay, so learn to listen and learn what to listen for. Okay, so what's important to them is one of the most important things. And I open every appointment buyer or seller with that question. What's most important to you? Why are we here today? What's most important to you? Before, the only thing that happens before that is the agency disclosure. The agency disclosure, my contact form, that's the only thing that happens before that question. Because that question opens the door to let them know I want them to talk. I want them to tell me what's important. I want them to guide this process. So listening to them, make sure that we're hearing what they're saying. Keep the headlines in context. Again, figure out what's important to them. And let that be the driving factor, and that's the focus that we follow. Lore, know your lore, language of real estate. If we don't understand our language, how can we expect them to? Okay, so really just understand all of our language, but how do we turn our language into the consumer language? Okay, because if we just spout off a whole bunch of things like I don't know, I'm drawing a blank, but there's one that always comes up and my clients never, P&S. That's a good one. P&S. How many of our clients know what a P&S is?
Not a ton.
Not a ton, but we use that acronym, don't we? So, and we use a lot of acronyms in this business. I write out DOM. There's when I do their pricing worksheet for them, I always have the days on market, and it says DOM. And I always point to it and I'm like, DOM means days on market. So this tells you how many days a property has been on the market. And they're like, oh, okay. Like they appreciate you explaining our language to them. They don't understand it. They don't live it every day like we do. And so don't use acronyms. When you're talking to people and you're having a conversation, work really hard to use the full language, not our acronyms, not the business lingo, because they don't know it. Okay. Know your business. Notice changes over time in your personal business. Years ago, I didn't work with any investors. Now I work with a ton of investors. That's my primary business at this point, is working with investors. So your business is going to change. You're going to change. You're going to find the types of deals that you like to do. You're going to also find the sources of business that you want to work with. Okay. For years, I worked with internet leads, and I converted between 35 and 40% of internet leads. That's a very high percentage.
Yeah.
Right. But I did it because I was making the phone calls. I have people that I have converted that have been in my database for over a decade. And I always tell agents, they're like, well, these are bad leads. There are no bad leads. There's only bad follow-up. Okay. It's not up to the consumer that registers on a website to follow up with us. It's up to us to follow up with them, and it's up to us to provide value so that when they're ready, they want to call us. Okay. So notice the changes in your business. Pay attention to what's changing. Are your appointments going up or down? Are you going to appointments and not getting them? Are you going to appointments and getting more of them than you used to? Pay attention to what's changing and if it's going in the right direction or the wrong direction. If it's going in the right direction, do more of it. If it's going in the wrong direction, examine it. Pay attention to it. What needs to change? What has changed? Maybe what you were doing before was working and now it's not. Well, did the market change? Did you change? So just kind of continue to pay attention. Know your numbers, pay attention to your business and what's going on in it. Learn your clientele. Who are the buyers? Who are the sellers? And do buyers and sellers, do they change over time? What they're looking for, what's important to them, does it change over time?
Yeah.
I think so. Right? So, and it depends on the market too, right? So in the market that we had 2 years ago, when there was 2 days of inventory, and you'd pull up to an open house and there was a line of cars a mile long on both sides of the house, on both sides of the street, and there's over 100 people in the house. If you're talking to a buyer and you don't have that conversation with them, that's a very real possibility of what they're going to walk into, you get to the first open house with them, they're out. I'm not dealing with this. I don't want to deal with this. I can't deal with this. I'm not going to compete with all these people. And so you got to kind of understand that and then have those conversations with them up front. Same thing with sellers. You know, right now our market is shifting. And I'm having lots of conversations with sellers before the house comes on the market to say, hey, they're not selling in a day with 15 offers, $100,000 over asking anymore. Those days are gone for now, but those days are gone. And so, you know, we need to set the expectations, because one of the best examples I had was that buyers, picture a car driving down the road, buyers are looking out the windshield, right? They're seeing everything that's coming. Sellers are looking in the rearview mirror. Sellers are looking at what their neighbor sold for, what the house down the street sold for, what, you know, these are all in the past, right? If they're closed, it's in the past. Buyers are looking at what's coming on the market and how long they're staying on the market. Are they seeing price reductions? So buyers are going to know before sellers that the market is changing almost every time. Does the market benefit your clients? So I'm going to say pretty much yes in almost any market. Like if we position them correctly, what are their needs? What are their goals? What are they trying to accomplish? And then how do we accomplish that for them in the current market? And if we don't know what the current market is, it's really hard to do that. So it's up to us to know what that market is. Does the market put your clients at risk? So it depends who your client is, right? So if you have a seller and the seller is thinking, hey, I've got X amount of days, I've got to get this house on the market, and because I've got a job relocation or something. And they want to put, you know, the price super high. Does that put them at risk? It could, right? Because if they price the house too high, it may not get sold in the time frame they need. They may not have that house sold before they need to relocate. Now they've got a vacant house here. There's a whole bunch of things that can be going on there. So investors right now, if you're working with investors, And as our market shifts and the days on market extend, a lot of investors are looking at it and they're like, they're still thinking, oh, I'm going to put the house on the market and it's the agent's job to get it sold in a week. Can I guarantee that? Nope. I'm telling my investors that they need to be building in additional buffers when they buy to cover carrying costs, to cover a possible price reduction, to cover expenses. Like, you know, but if we're not telling them that and they're not paying attention, they could definitely be putting themselves at risk. So again, our market knowledge is critical, and knowing what's important to our client and what they're looking to do and what their plans are. Questions so far? We've covered a lot of material. Hi. I have a kitty over here talking. Listen to individuals, take a grassroots approach. Learn where your sphere, get to information, and be present. I love being face to face with people. I love networking. That's my grassroots approach. That calling my database, my past clients, just keeping in touch with people. Sometimes it's just going out for lunch, going out, grabbing a dinner together. And next thing you know, that there's a transaction coming. So I personally like to be face to face in tight communication with my sphere and my database. You have to learn where sphere gets their information and maybe even give them a better source, right? Because not all information is accurate. And so educating them on that and just, hey, if you're seeing something, cross check it, call me, let's look at it together and see, what if that information is actually accurate. Okay. Sometimes they have information that's great and they can give you a new source of information. I'm not opposed to that either. Be present. Always, 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 please be present. I know we have a lot going on in our lives, in our businesses. They can tell when you're not paying attention. Okay. So if you're at a listing appointment and you're checking your phone nonstop, or you're, looking at your watch, or, you're not really present with them. Okay. So it's really important that we're present and we're listening to them, because if we don't listen to them, somebody else will, and the somebody else is probably going to get their business. Okay. So making sure that we're present and we're listening to them. Keep the headlines in context. Read past the headline. There are a couple of different newsletters that I get, and the headline will draw me in, and then I realize that there's like 2 sentences about the headline, and then everything else is about some garbage that I don't want. So, kind of read past it, learn which news sources are good and which ones aren't, and where you can get really good information. And just get a variety of information. There's a lot going on in real estate right now across the country. Lots of laws are changing, lots of different things are happening. So just really pay attention to what's going on, and especially what's going on locally. Know your numbers. How many people here can tell me how many contacts you make per month? Anybody?
I mean, does it have to be exact?
Well, no. So talk to me. How many contacts are you making a month?
I would assume probably around 100 or more.
Okay. So what is the word assume?
I just don't know off the top of my head. Like, I know I meet people, it goes into my database, and
Yep.
that's just kind of like my average.
Okay. So there are systems out there, and KW gives you one, right? You've got your daily tracker. I use CTE. I have been for about 14 years now. And I can tell you exactly what my numbers are because I track them every single day. And it becomes a game. So earlier this year, about 2 months ago, Actually, it was the month after the month we were in bold. And right after bold, the very next week, I did a 4-time bold 100 in one day. I had 431 contacts in one day. And
Yeah.
everybody's like, how? But I know the numbers because I track my numbers. I know that right now it's taking me 175 contacts to get an appointment. And I'm closing about 85% of my appointments. So, like, if you have your numbers and you know more than just about, you can plan. So, I can say, based on the number of transactions that I want to do and the number of contacts that I made. So I can look last year and say, okay, well, I made X number of contacts. I had this number of appointments. This number of appointments were held. This many were signed. I have all those percentages. Now I use those percentages, which are my percentages, not averages, to know exactly what I need to do to hit the numbers that I set for next year based on my percentages. If there's any habit that I would suggest as a new agent, that would be it. Because it is the number one thing that I can think of, short of making contacts and actually going and doing the work, but that is going to almost guarantee you success. So right now, my numbers, I'm running between 550 and 650 contacts a month. And anywhere from 3 to 8 appointments. Yes.
What do you qualify as a contact though? Is it like back and forth conversation, or could it be like sending somebody an email, or like what do you qualify as a contact?
Emails don't qualify for me. I don't count emails unless it's a back and forth and I book an appointment through email. Then I'll count
Gotcha.
it. Other than that, I don't count emails. I count text messages that have at least two-way. If I send a text message out, I don't get a response. That doesn't count. I count my voice to voices. I count my face to faces. So my numbers tend to be a little bit higher for contacts because I do a lot of networking. So last week I had an event in the morning, or a lunchtime event that I went to. There were 28 people there. And because I know most of them, I had back-to-back conversations before, during, and after the networking event. So I got about 21 contacts out of that one. Then I went to an event later that evening that had 25 people there, and I got about 10 contacts because I didn't know as many people. So those conversations were a little bit longer, like, what do you do? How long have you been doing it? Those kind of conversations. And so those conversations were a little bit longer and I had fewer of them. But Sue's on midday protocol with me a lot. She's actually on it more than I am because I've been slammed this year, but not uncommon for me to come in and say I've got 25 to 35 contacts in a 24-hour window. That's pretty normal for me. It's also pretty normal for me to have 3 to 4 face-to-face meetings in a day. So that's where my stuff comes from. So if I'm face-to-face, I'm having a conversation with somebody, inevitably it's going to come back around to real estate at some point. So that's where a lot of it comes from. I do quite a bit of texting. Most of my investors, we text back and forth. And then it's calling my past clients, current clients. Those all count. So I think most people don't count their contacts that they're having. Number one, they don't track it. People kind of laugh at me because I have a notebook that sits next to me at all times, and every contact goes into my notebook. But at the end of the day, I go back through my phone and I look at all the phone conversations that I had and I make sure they're in my book. And then I look at all the back and forth text messages that I had and I make sure those go in my book. And then I look at how many face-to-faces that I have, and usually in my notebook that travels with me, I've put how many people I talked to at that meeting. So then that gets translated back into my tracking notebook. All of that goes into CTE.
So you go super granular then.
Yep. Yep. But once you get a system in place, it's not like I spend a lot of time on it.
That was gonna be my next question. How long does it take you to do all that?
Well, every time I'm having a conversation, I have my notebook in front of me and I'm writing my notes on it. So then I put a check mark next to the people that I've talked to. If I leave a message for somebody, there's no check mark. So at the end of the day, I count up the number of check marks. Right? If I call and there's a husband and wife on the phone together, well, that's 2 because I got the husband and wife. I'm having a conversation with both of them. So I put a 2 next to my check mark. If it's face to face, I put a F2F next to it so I can count up my face to faces. All of that goes into CTE, and logging it into CTE takes, I don't know, maybe 35 seconds because I total it up in my notebook and then all I got to do is put it in the system. So once you get a system for it, it really doesn't take that long. KW gives you the system where you can track your contacts and appointments and that. I like CTE because it gives me reports. It gives me all kinds of stuff. And it's free. So that's but tracking is huge. Because otherwise you're guessing. And I will tell you, particularly on our percentages, we never guess right. We always think we're doing more or we're converting higher than what we are. And that's not always the case. So, you need to know how many contacts it takes to get an appointment, how many appointments it takes to get a signed contract, how many signed contracts to get a closing. And, what are those percentages all the way through? So yes, I'm very granular, but as I said earlier, I also come from an engineering background. So, which was a killer when you had to track your hours and how many minutes were spent on each project. So yes. Does that help?
Yeah, that was awesome. I appreciate that because I would call myself a much more data-driven person than a lot of people I've met in the industry as well. So
Yep. Ahas.
track your contacts.
Anybody else? Patrick, Candace, Sue? I need a couple ahas here.
I'll go with an aha that I think took me too long to figure out. Thinking that you're wedging yourself in a corner. When Terry was talking about figure out what who your clients should be or what they're looking for, the type of property or whatever, like Terry has obviously landed on investors and builders and all of that. Took me a long time, but it kind of like the light bulb went off one day about military and first responders. They are the transactions that I would love to do 100% of. Doesn't mean I'm not going to represent past clients and my own builders and all of that. But when you can figure out what you're really geared up for, what makes your heart kind of, pound, it makes it very simple to, on your own, become an expert in. You get to know the lingo, you get to know the requirements, you get to know so much about what needs to happen for a particular group of people, no matter what it is, whether it's waterfront or equestrian or, historics. There's several categories, and it doesn't mean you can't learn other things, but it's okay to become kind of your own expert on a few different areas, and then it really grows from there. I will tell a Terry story without any reference or names or whatever, but we had a conversation recently about, one builder who had referred her to another builder who then the subcontractor was needed and she got referred, not necessarily even for real estate, but just as a contact for the scenario. And all of a sudden she had 20 12 new people in her world that weren't real estate agents or even clients at that point, but her name was getting tossed all over the place because of those people. That is, you can't get that off of a website where they're sending you leads. It just doesn't happen that way. But look at that scenario, what happened with her. And that is magical all by itself. She was just helping, she was helping somebody. And it turned into, I might be making up numbers, but like 12 different people in the industry that talk to people who are doing something with real estate. That's magical.
Yeah.
Good job, Terry.
Thanks. And it's, you know, Sue, you're absolutely right. Like, you work with veterans a lot, and once you do a good job, that the veterans know each other, right? And
Yep.
so you take care of one veteran, they're going to tell other people about you, and then you take care of them and they're going to tell other people, and then that little niche that you've created for yourself that you enjoy working in
Mm, yeah.
grows. And now you have a business doing what you love
Yep.
with people you enjoy, and you get a lot of satisfaction from that.
Oh,
And
absolutely. I cry.
yeah, I
I cry at the
know.
close. I never cry on any life circumstances, but I cry at the closing table when it's a first responder or
Mhm,
military, active, retired, whatever.
mhm,
Because in my heart, and that's where you have to go, is go to your heart about who are the people that you wish to help and how you can make their lives easier. And for me, military and first responders have already earned themselves a home. And I
mhm,
know not everybody agrees with what I'm saying, and that's okay. Believe in what you do. For me, these people have already like dedicated themselves. Here go my dogs, so I'll stop in a second. They've already dedicated themselves to helping everybody else. And it's just one of the things that we can do to help them. And that was like a firework that went off on my head at some point, going, oh my God, like nobody else would take a veteran years ago that I met, because there's this rumor floating around our industry that anything to do with VA is horrible. Don't do it. Don't touch it. Don't. It's so untrue. Go learn it.
mhm.
Go get an iced coffee, a large black iced coffee for Brad. Book 5 to 10 minutes with him. He'll help you walk through VA. It's not difficult. And at the end of the day, if you don't want it, send it to me. We'll do a referral.
Absolutely. And it's, and I agree 100%. I love working with the vets. I love working with the first responders. My dad was a Marine, and he was a 45-year firefighter. So, Sue, I got both of those covered for you. But you guys have to decide for you, right? I do a lot of work with investors. I have a creative investor that I absolutely love working with, because we have fun and we help people, and that's cool. So think about, what's important. What's important to you? Who do you connect with? I'm an engineer, so I'm going to bring data. Well, the people that are more on the creative side of things, they tend to not be my clients. I'm just not the right fit for them, and that's okay. And I think that's the other piece to note, is that it's okay that you're not a good fit for everybody, and they're not a good fit for you. So think about who is a good fit for you. What are your passions? I have a friend right now selling a $2 million farm. They're asking me for pricing. I won't give it to them because that's not my thing. As much as I adore them, it would be a disservice for me to provide information about anything related to a farm, because that's not my thing. I don't have that level of knowledge. Um, so it's really up to you guys. I hope that today was helpful. I'm gonna go through the last couple of things. We have all of our KW apps. Please, please, please. We've got our tech guys that can help you with these. If you don't understand them, if you don't have them set up, get them set up. It's the fastest way for you to have those resources available to you, is using what KW is already giving you. So Keller Williams gives you some amazing products that you can use. So download the apps and get those set up. KW Command, use it. This database health score, you want everything in the green. Is that always going to be perfect? No, but the healthier that your database is, the healthier your checkbook is going to be. Okay, get people in there. Everybody should be in your database. There's all different things that you can send them. Okay, pick the things that are going to work, for different groups of people. Tag your database up so that you can identify the segments. My clients get a campaign. They get a quarterly campaign. They get listing alerts. If they're not looking for a house, they get listing alerts for homes that are similar to their house. They get the market report from me. They get periodic phone calls from me. And people are like, well, what do you say when you call? Well, my clients, if I've got a couple, I've got 2 birthdays, I've got an anniversary. If they've bought a house for me, they've got a house anniversary. If I know when their kids' birthdays are, I call on the kids' birthdays. I call on the holidays. I might call like there are so many reasons to call other than real estate. Find out what's important to them. I once was able to, one of my clients had a dream of going up in a hot air balloon. And I was volunteering at an event where I was holding the tether for the hot air balloon. Guess what my client got? They got a ticket to that event and they got a ticket to the air balloon. They thought it was the greatest thing on the planet. It was a tethered ride. They only went up like 75 feet or 100 feet, but they were up in a balloon for the first time in their life. If you can do that for somebody, you just crossed a line that doesn't go back. You got to really do some damage to destroy that relationship now. You're their realtor. And when you can get people to say, Jeff is my realtor, there is no greater statement that a client can make of you, because they've taken ownership of you and your service. That's my goal, is for my clients to say, Terry's my realtor. Have you met Terry? She's my agent. She's my go-to. She has information. Ask her any question. That's what I want my clients saying. That's what you want your clients saying. All right. And I know we're a couple minutes over, so I'm going to kind of scoot through. So go to your app store, Keller Williams Real Estate, download, open, touch the drop-down menu, in the upper left, scroll down to the profile. Login is using your agent KW Connect credentials, and then share the app with other people. Share it with your clients, share it with people at networking events. It's a great app for you to share with people. And guess what? They can contact you right through the app.
What was the other one you mentioned? CTE?
CTE, Commit to Excellence. Calvin Mergen is the person. If you email me, terry@lajoiehometeam.com. Lajoie is Lajoie. I will send you his email.
Okay.
And he can
Lajoie
send you
Home Team?
CTE. What's that?
Lajoie Home Team.
.com.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. So establish your business on social media, 10 likes per day, write 5 comments on other people's posts, and send a direct message. I'm going to say put 1 post out too. It doesn't all have to be about real estate. People want to know you. You see, if you look at my Facebook posts, which I've not been on it at all this summer, you're going to see pictures of birds, pictures of cats, pictures of bunnies. You're going to see all kinds of pictures, and then there's an occasional post about me, and what I do. But people want to know who you are, all right? They want to connect with you as a person. So, 10 likes, 5 comments, 1 direct message minimum, and then 1 post. Your daily success, number of conversations, you want at least 10. Number of contacts added, at least 10. Handwritten notes. Sue, you've heard me say this. I am all about the handwritten note. The handwritten notes can change your world in a heartbeat. If every time you talk to somebody, you send them a handwritten note, if you have their address and you send them a handwritten notes have a 98% open rate, a 2-week stay rate, which means they're going to keep that note around. Personally, I have a whole bin of notes. I can't throw them away. So if somebody walks in and there's a handwritten note on the kitchen counter and someone's like, oh, who sent you a note? Oh, that's my realtor. Every time I talk to my realtor, she sends me a note. Or send a thank you note when someone gives you a referral. Like, it matters. And then the 10-5-1 social media engagement and your enrichments, study a market center report, preview homes. If you guys are new agents, you need to be in homes. See if you can get an experienced agent to go with you. If you don't know a lot about houses, let them show you the difference between a furnace and a boiler, the different types of roofs, siding. There's a wealth of knowledge that experienced agents can give you about houses. Have somebody tour houses with you. Go to open houses, hold open houses for other agents. Study the language of real estate. There's a whole course that Keller Williams has about the language of real estate. Read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, the Red Book. If you have not read it, I highly recommend it. I've read it several times. I think it's page 178 that has the difference between marketing and prospecting. When you get to the point where you can rattle off a page number for that book, you've read it about half as much as you should. All right. It's just an amazing book. It has all the models for building a successful business. So just happened to be the first book I got when I got in real estate before I was even at KW, before I realized the importance of it. Questions? No? All right, guys. Well, thank you for your patience. I know we went a little bit over. At least I think we did. This was an hour, right? If you guys need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. But I appreciate all of you, and I wish you guys all the best.
Thank you, Terry. This
Thank
was awesome.
you. Yeah,
Thanks,
it was
Terry.
great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, guys. Good luck.